Italy's naval ambitions have entered a new phase with the commissioning of ITS Trieste, a hybrid landing helicopter dock and light aircraft carrier capable of operating the F-35B. The ship has rapidly become a symbol of Italy's maritime resurgence, a visible statement that Rome intends to project power across the Mediterranean and beyond. Yet, as discussions swirl about Italy's future defense posture, one question persists among analysts. Will Trieste eventually get a sister ship? At the moment, there is no official confirmation. The Italian Ministry of Defense and Fincantieri, the country's prime naval contractor, have not announced any follow-on orders. However, the debate itself reveals much about Italy's evolving role in NATO and its struggle to balance strategic ambition with fiscal realism. Trieste represents the culmination of a two-decade effort to modernize Italy's carrier capability. The Cavour entered service in 2008 as a conventional STOVL carrier for the AV-8B Harrier II. The Trieste, launched in 2019 and commissioned in 2024, takes that foundation further. It integrates an advanced well deck for amphibious operations, a 230-meter flight deck suitable for F-35B operations, and a design philosophy blending expeditionary warfare with air power projection. With a displacement of 33,000 tons, it is Italy's largest warship since World War II, a vessel bridging the gap between a traditional carrier and a full amphibious assault ship. In strategic terms, Trieste is the core of the Forza di Proiezione dal Mare, Italy's maritime projection force. Together with the PPA patrol frigates, FREM multi-mission frigates, and the aging San Giorgio-class landing ships, Trieste gives Rome a flexible tool for crisis response, power projection, and humanitarian missions. Its debut comes at a moment when Italy's interests, from Libya and Tunisia to the Balkans and Eastern Mediterranean, are increasingly volatile. Having a ship capable of sustaining F-35B sorties while deploying landing forces provides Rome with a versatile platform for deterrence and influence. Yet one ship alone cannot guarantee continuous operational readiness. When Trieste undergoes maintenance or refit cycles, Italy temporarily loses its sea-based fixed-wing aviation capability. This one-ship gap has strategic implications. The United Kingdom, recognizing this vulnerability, commissioned 2 Queen Elizabeth-class carriers to ensure that at least one remains operational at all times. Spain's Juan Carlos I and Turkey's TCG Anadolu follow similar hybrid designs but rely on limited mission endurance. For Italy, maintaining persistent carrier presence would logically require a second platform, whether an identical Trieste or a smaller variant. The problem is cost. Italy's defense budget remains constrained at roughly 1.46% of GDP, far below NATO's 2% guideline. The Meloni government has prioritized modernizing the Air Force, acquiring F-35Bs, investing in long-range missiles, and expanding Italy's digital defense infrastructure. Within this fiscal environment, a second €1.3 billion carrier is difficult to justify. Official defense planning documents, DPP 2024-2026, focus instead on a new generation of amphibious ships, known as the LXD class, designed to replace the aging San Giorgio vessels. These ships, around 16,500 tons each, will complement Trieste by enhancing Italy's landing and humanitarian response capabilities, without duplicating its carrier functions. the LXD program reflects a pragmatic shift. Rather than building another large carrier, Italy aims to build a multi-platform projection force. In practice, this means a distributed fleet, Trieste as the flagship, supported by LXDs, PPAs, and FREMs that can perform overlapping missions with lower operational risk. This approach offers flexibility at a fraction of the cost of a second carrier. Industrial capacity is not the issue. Fincantieri's yards at Muggiano and Castellammare di Stabia have the experience, tooling, and dry dock size to reproduce Trieste's hull. In theory, construction could resume within 36 months if Rome issued a contract. Fincantieri has already leveraged Trieste's design in export programs such as Qatar's Doha-class corvettes and the Italian PPA family. What is missing is the political directive and the financial guarantee to greenlight another large capital ship. Speculation persists partly because Italy's defense circles understand the symbolic power of carriers. Within NATO's southern flank, only France and Italy maintain indigenous naval aviation. The French Charles de Gaulle provides a nuclear-powered heavyweight, but its operational availability is finite. A dual-carrier Italy would dramatically alter the balance of influence in the Mediterranean. It would also position Rome as a permanent contributor to NATO's expeditionary task forces, capable of covering the gap when the British or French carriers are unavailable. Still, political and industrial realities argue against such ambition in the near term. Italy's naval modernization must also fund new submarines, U-212 NFS, future anti-submarine frigates, and the ongoing transition to the F-35B fleet. The Navy's share of the defense budget, roughly 24%, is insufficient to support another major hull without external funding or a surge in GDP allocation. Moreover, Italy's shipyards are heavily booked with export work, including orders for the United States, Indonesia, and the Middle East. Looking ahead, three plausible scenarios emerge for 2025-2035. Scenario 1. No sister ship. Italy focuses on upgrading Cavour, completing the LXD program, and improving logistics for sustained F-35B operations. Probability: about 60%. Scenario 2. A Trieste light variant, a smaller 25,000-ton follow-on vessel, optimized for aviation support but built on a simplified LHD hull, serving as a stopgap or training platform. Probability: about 30%. Scenario 3, a nuclear carrier vision for 2040, part of long-term concept studies under EU cooperation frameworks. Probability: around 10%. These probabilities may shift if Italy's economy grows faster than projected, or if NATO's southern theater demands a more sustained maritime presence. Politically, Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni's coalition supports an assertive defense policy, but remains cautious about new mega-projects. Domestic priorities, energy, immigration, and fiscal consolidation compete for funding. Until the first squadron of F-35Bs is fully operational aboard Trieste, launching another carrier would be premature. Operational data from Trieste's early deployments will be critical in determining whether the Navy can justify expansion or must optimize existing assets. In the end, the question of a Trieste sister ship is less about shipbuilding and more about Italy's self-image. Trieste embodies the nation's industrial mastery and its aspiration for strategic autonomy within Europe. Even if no second carrier materializes before 2030, the very discussion signals Rome's intent to remain a maritime power. The path Italy chooses, dual carriers, distributed amphibious forces, or eventual nuclear ambitions, will define not only its naval doctrine, but also its political stature in the decades to come. For now, Trieste stands alone, a single, gleaming testament to Italy's maritime revival. Yet its wake stretches far into the future, where another Italian carrier, real or imagined, already sails through the strategic imagination of Europe.